Thank you for being here. And I say thank you for being here because after 17 years of silence, those were the first words I said to a group of friends and family that gathered in Washington, D.C. on the 20th anniversary of Earth Day. And I said thank you for being here because it's sort of like that tree falling in the forest. If there's no one there to hear it, the sound doesn't really make a sound. And I want to thank you for having me here as well, because this is my first time in India, and the home of my favorite and greatest teacher, Mahatma Gandhi, where I get the walking from. Thank you for being here. I said that, and out in the audience, my mother, who hadn't heard me speak for 17 years, she jumped up and she said, "Hallelujah, Johnny's talking." My dad, he was sitting out in the audience too, and he said, "That's one." Now, my dad, he just followed me around all the time, wanting me to do more than just talk. He always wanted me to get in a car and ride and drive. And I want to tell you right now, before I go into the story, because I want to tell you a story. It's about a journey. The story is about a journey. And I see that we're all on a journey. That's what I believe, that we're all on this journey together. And what I learned on my part of the journey, after walking for 17 years and being silent for 17 years, when I got to the other side of the United States, as it said in the video, that I realized when I started my education about environment, it was all about pollution. It was about seeing that's a seal, covered in oil, and the birds all flopping around in oil. It disturbed me so much that I got out of my car and I started walking. So it was about that. It was about pollution. It was about the things that we think of as environmental, the traditional things, the clean water, the clean air, the loss of species, the loss of habitat, now climate change, all those things. But what I discovered after I had studied environment at such a level, as high as you can go in the universities, and then on an informal level, walking and listening to thousands of conversations and being in many, many hundreds of homes that I never would have been if I hadn't walked across the United States. And what I discovered is that we are the environment. And if we are thinking about sustainability, if we're thinking about acting in a way that is going to create that sustainability, then the first opportunity we have, since we're the environment, is the person standing in front of us. Ourselves and the person working beside us. Ourselves and the person standing behind us. So that's the message right there. And I think another part of that is that we need to listen to each other. We may hear things that we never expected to hear, and I guess I want to go back to that time to tell you about the story that of the journey of myself after seeing the oil spill and starting to walk. I was living in a little village of about 300 people in Northern California. And I heard on the radio that there was a spill in San Francisco Bay, so I decided that maybe my girlfriend and I should drive to San Francisco to see that oil spill. I've never seen an oil spill, honey. Have you? No. I should tell you, that was my girlfriend, Jean. She didn't really sound that way. That's what we call a theatrical device, okay? So you don't get confused. I don't see anything because of the clouds and the fog, but I sure smell it. Do you? Okay, you get it. We couldn't see the oil spill, but we did smell it, and it was something that was all-pervasive. When we decided to turn around and head back home, the smell followed us. And in the car, on the way back home, I said, you know, Jean, I think we ought to do something about this. I'm thinking maybe we ought to give up riding and driving in our automobiles. That's nice. Well, Jean said that, John, if we did something like that, we don't have any money, you see. That's a sign I used a lot of back in those days. She said, we don't have any money, and if people see us just walking on the side of the road, they're going to say, look at those poor people. They can't even afford enough money to take a bus. Now, if we were rich, she said, if we were rich, then people would say, look at the rich people walking. They must know something. Come on, let's go follow them. We could change the world that way, she said. That's a great idea, sweetie. You got it. And so I bought that. I said, that's right. We need to wait until we get the money. When we get lots of money, then we can have the time to do the things that we think that we should do. It didn't work out that way. There was a knock on her door one morning. You don't say. They just said that Jerry Tanner, our deputy sheriff, was lost in Tomales Bay, a long, narrow, shallow bay where we lived on. He was in the boat with his family. They were saved, but he was lost. Now, I should tell you about Jerry Tanner, the deputy sheriff. This is in the 1970s in California. Now, Jerry was a deputy sheriff, and Jean grew things in her garden that the deputy sheriff always was looking for. And anyway,